Is mining good or bad? Wow, thanks for that question. That's a loaded one. The answer is both. Obviously, mining has environmental impacts that we need to consider. And I'm going to look at this through the Canadian lens, which is that Canada has the most socially responsible and environmentally strict rules and regulations around mining for anywhere in the world. Canada came up with a thing called Towards Sustainable Mining, which is now being emulated around the world in other locations, and especially by Canadian mines that operate in other locations. So what does this mean for mining in Canada? Well, if you follow the regulations in Canada, which you must in order to get a permit, it's going to be the best option we have in the world for those resources. There's a quote that I like to think about, which is, what have you done today that did not involve a mineral? And when I talk to students about this, they often tell me something like the food they're eating or the cotton clothing they're wearing, and they don't realize that that food took minerals such as potash that was mined in order to use as fertilizer, or the equipment and machinery used to weave the cotton was made using minerals and metals, and the shipping that it took to get these things around the world to us. So there's absolutely nothing you can do in your day-to-day life in modern day world that is not going to use a mineral. Here's a case in point. My phone, everyone's phone, has some cobalt in it. There are mines in Canada that can mine cobalt. There are new proposed mines that could increase a secure resource of cobalt, done so in a socially responsible way, in a way that returns value to our country through taxes and through stakeholder agreements with local people, and also has a compliant environmental plan, both for the operations and the closure of the mine, that would be compliant with all Canadian regulations, which are the very best in the world. Now, if we choose as Canadians to not do that, what you're actively choosing is to get your cobalt from other places around the world. You're not somehow just miraculously stopping cobalt from being mined. You're not decreasing the demand for it. You're just choosing to get it from another source. And with cobalt, we know that the other source is primarily the Congo, where there are not the same environmental regulations. There is fraud. There is lots of things that are problematic. Of course, if you go and look at the documentaries, you'll find that there is child labor involved also. So we have to think about this from a global perspective, from thinking about all other people, not just ourselves in our own backyard, but as a global society. Where would the best place be for these resources to be mined? And I think that answer very, very clearly comes down to Canada is the best place to get these resources. We have so many natural resources. We can both unlock their potential in terms of the ability to use those resources, and also for our Canadian people to benefit from the jobs, from the revenues, not to mention all the startup companies, all the technologies that are developed through mining. It's a win-win across Canada if we can unlock those resources. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, we ensure we're following our processes. We have great regulations in Canada. We have good processes for this. The problem is that it gets delayed hugely by lobbyists that have money from various places. It could be a whole nother rabbit hole to go down sometime. But there are lobbyists and activists that actively oppose mining in Canada for a variety of resources. Some of them have malicious intent. Others just don't know better. They are repeating something that they heard online. They maybe heard an actor or a musician or something, someone who can really elicit emotion. So when you see lobbyists that are non-technical, non-scientific, and that are using emotion to try to sway your opinion, make sure you really, really think about that. When emotion comes into something, it's rarely scientific and evidence-based anymore. As I like to say, learn from everyone, but think for yourself. Around mining, we really want to look at every project individually. That's one of the things that I've loved about my 18 years of working in mining, is that the scientific principles that I work in as a biogeochemist and a water treatment expert, is those principles apply across the board to all types of mining projects, but each project is unique. And this is why we need a regulatory process, why we can't just rubber stamp things. We have to go through looking at the site-specific aspects, the unique environmental concerns of every location, but we also need to make sure that we aren't unduly holding this up due to other people's agendas that do not benefit Canadians. So mining, resources extraction in Canada, it's actually a good thing. It's the best you can do in the entire world, and we should be damn proud of it here in Canada.